Hey everybody, welcome to DadsDen of Pop Culture. Today we're going to talk about a very cool British television show that I only, found out about maybe a couple years ago and immediately fell in love with the thing. Not a lot of episodes have survived, but I think the ones that have are worth watching. I am speaking of Adam Adamant Lives. There's an exclamation point in there. So you got to say it like you mean it. Our story begins in 1902, the Edwardian era in Great Britain, at a castle at Windsor. The man, Adam Llewellyn de Vere Adamant, gentleman adventurer. The woman, Louise, his lady love, at a very beautiful reception. But there is skullduggery afoot outside. Bearded men of sinister mien creep through the shrubbery. A compatriot throws down a rope that he might enter the castle unbidden. Adam confesses his love to Louise as they dance, but alas, he cannot ask her to be his, for his love for her could only be used as a weapon against him by the enemies of England. My life is fraught with danger each day and night. Alas, Louise, my resolve is as blue steel. And he is quite right, for at that moment he detects the skulkers on the balcony and goes to investigate. One man he knocks down, the other he throws bodily off the balcony, all with a roguish smile on his face. The first man leaps up and pulls a knife, but it avails him naught. He puts the man into a lock and demands to know the name of his master. He refuses. Tell me and I'll spare your life. He refuses. And so Adam gives him the choice of death at the hands of his majesty's executioner, or to leap to his own death. He thanks Adamant and chooses to make the leap himself. This is witnessed by Sir James with a full monocle drop. Excellent stuff. Who is shocked to learn that the man planned to assassinate the king. Adamant knows that behind those men, a mastermind is at work and must be stopped. This one man is behind the insurrections in India, the Crimean War, the Franco-Prussian War. One man. And at this moment, a note is delivered to Adam. Come at once. There is, of course, an address, an obvious trap, but he must go, for it is from Louise. The Bounders have kidnapped her. He rides directly to a manor house of some sort, look kind of run down, kind of spooky, and knocks vigorously on the door with his stick, only to hear Louise calling his name in distress. He kicks open the door, he enters, and begins his search. After an ineffectual attack by a dwarf, that's what I said, he sees Louise being dragged up the stairs by a man unknown, and he charges up, and bursting through a door, he falls, landing in a net. He has sprung the trap. The rope is cut. He falls down the stairs and is knocked unconscious. He awakens, one knows not when, to find himself bound to a table. He is in the power of the Face, the mastermind he sought. A cage is too good for Adamant, he says. As is death, he shall instead be placed in suspended animation. For how long, he does not know. When the last man was revived after 10 years, he was a gibbering idiot. But Adamant will not be revived. He is condemned to an eternity of a living death. He asks Adamant who he would like to see before he closes his eyes forever, and naturally, Adam asks for Louise. And to his horror, she is brought to him and embraces the Face. And then the injection and darkness. And thus we are introduced to one of the most fun adventure shows to come out of England in the 1960s. Adam Adamant Lives. Note how this logo combines types from different eras, and really just different kinds of types in general. This is a show about a man from the Edwardian era, revived in the London of the swinging 60s, or as they would have said at the time, today. The show actually opens with this intro, and it's great. A song kind of like a combination of Shirley Bassey's Goldfinger and Tom Jones's Thunderball. Very 60s, very Bond. Of course, this is one of those 60s TV shows from England at this time. And of course, America had the same. That was sort of inspired by the Bond phenomenon. Our star plays Adam Adamant is Gerald Harper. His companion, Georgina Jones, we'll meet her in a moment, is played by Juliet Harmer. I use the term companion for a reason. Adam Adamant Lives was broadcast on BBC One for 2 years, from 1966 to 1967. It was created by Donald Cotton, who wrote some Doctor Who scripts, and Richard Harris, who wrote scripts for The Avengers, The Saint, The Sweeney, and helped create Man in a Suitcase and Shoestring, 2 shows that I really need to watch. It was developed by Sidney Newman, who initiated the creation of Doctor Who, and Tony Williamson, The Avengers, Department S, Jason King, Randall and Hopkirk, deceased, The Adventurer. The producer was Verity Lambert, known for Doctor Who. So lots of Doctor Who in this show's DNA. And I kind of think that Adam Adamant resembles the 10th Doctor a bit, and there's a little bit of lore within Doctor Who that sometimes the Doctor, when he regenerates, takes the appearance of somebody he's known in his past. Perhaps there's an untold adventure between Adam Adamant and the Doctor, who knows? But the show does feel a bit like Doctor Who merged with The Avengers. It has elements of Holmes versus Moriarty, because yes, the face will return. And well, a little bit of Captain America's revival in the 1960s. There is a fish out of water element as well. The very proper Edwardian reacting to very improper 1960s London. London does, they say, swing like the pendulum do, after all. And as with the Beverly Hillbillies, you get the notion that it's 1960s London that could actually stand to learn a lesson or two from the fish out of water rather than the other way around. Well, the story continues with a crew demolishing an old building and discovering in the basement a man encased in a block of ice, Adam, in suspended animation. He is brought to a hospital and thawed. The press is wild for more information. The doctor and hospital director are monitoring Adam, who remains unconscious, and they marvel at his identification papers mentioning an address at a place that no longer exists. They argue over whether this is all some kind of a hoax, or if he could really be a man from Edwardian times. The doctor notes that the famous Adam Adamant disappeared under mysterious circumstances, so they, and presumably the general public, are aware of who Adam Adamant is. He was a great hero of England in the Edwardian era. Well, at this point, he regains consciousness, mumbling about the king, who, after all, was in danger of assassination when, he was put under suspended animation. Because of his mumbling, the doctor tries to give him a sedative, an injection, maybe not the right move. But when the hospital director and a government man enter to question Adamant, they discover him gone and the doctor unconscious. Adam makes his escape behind them in a doctor's lab coat. He stumbles into a patient's room, and from what he's saying, it's obvious he thinks that he and she are prisoners of the face. So even in his current state, he is capable of disarming and defeating the doctor, and he's worried about other people. He's got to save them from danger. Adam makes it out to the streets of London, and he is dazzled by the automobiles, the lights, etc. As he moves on, a woman appears skulking behind him. What might her purpose be? A modern audience might note the similarity, again, to Steve Rogers in the MCU film, escaping from his so-called hospital room, running out into the streets of current-day New York. Very, very similar kind of concept here. The camera wobbles and sways through this sequence, sometimes blurring the lights to give you, an idea of Adam's current state of mind. He staggers, he stumbles. He's clearly not up to his normal health. The woman still follows him, and we also get this shot as he is confronted with the different standards of ladies' dress in 1966. Onlookers stare at the man as though maybe he were drunk, maybe insane. He has his first encounter With an escalator in the underground, he demands from a passing businessman to know what this place is. Where am I? He goes past strip clubs, past a hostess paid to get people inside the club, and we see now that the woman who has been following him since he left the hospital has now reached him. She finally speaks with him. Mr. Adamant, please, you'd better come with me. I shall take my stand here. Let go of me, boy. So she takes her hat off, revealing her long hair, that she's a girl, and he again sees his former lady love and the face. He has a vision of them. And then he collapses. It's a long sequence, this whole part, but it does hammer home how alien 1960s London is to him, and it establishes his current physical and mental state, and it introduces Georgina Jones to his life. We get a better look at her when he awakens on a chase lounge in her flat. He's still a bit stunned, but gradually comes to learn where he is, when he is, and who he is. She explains that she followed him when she recognized who he was. She is a dedicated fan of Adam Adamant. I also like here, he is very uncomfortable with being in a woman's flat with her alone. Think of what it might do to her reputation. This shows the future shock that we'll see often in the show, but also his code of conduct. He is worried for her. He has a natural inclination to protect people. She says that her grandfather used to tell her stories about him. He met Adamant once, Sam Jones. You probably don't know him. Oh no, Adam actually remembers him well. It was only last year at the regatta, a short fellow, rather young to be a grandfather. When she tells him her name, she says, you can call me Georgie. And he responds by calling her Miss Jones. Always Miss Jones. It's that rigid code of honor and courtesy, etc. He makes to leave, and she's trying to explain to him, your house is gone. Your friends are gone. Don't you understand, Mr. Adamant? You're 99 years old. Up until now, Adamant has tried to sort of power through all of this like it was just a nightmare. But he's finally realizing the reality of the situation that he's in. Well, we next see Georgina at work, at a discotheque, loud music, etc. And this will launch Adam into his first adventure in the 1960s as the club owner is paying protection money. Or he was. He refuses to pay anymore, and as a result, he is killed a little bit accidentally. Georgina witnesses this. Now, she agrees to identify the men responsible. The detective says he'll leave a man outside the door as a guard. She goes upstairs to her flat. Adamant is still asleep, recuperating from his ordeal. The next morning, he is terribly sorry that he stayed the night, compromising her. So she tells him not to be silly. He's not the first man who stayed the night. He apologizes, only now realizing that she must be no apologies. You're so young. I'm sure you must have been driven to it. Now, look, if you're implying what I think, it's a really good exchange between the two of them. There's the clash of values, and it's good character work for both of them. But underneath, there is this, again, genuine sense of concern that he has for her. And we've seen that really, actually, not just him for her, but her for him. There's kind of a father-daughter sort of thing here, not a budding romance. So that's, similar, not counting like the newer versions Doctor Who, but in the older versions Doctor Who, it was more friendship between Doctor and companion, not a romantic thing. Well, she says, I work in a discotheque. A discotheque, I can't imagine what that could possibly be. And it is here that she offers him breakfast. He grudgingly agrees, not wishing to impose, and has his first experience with something like Rice Krispies and a toaster. Well, it is while this is going on that the thugs arrive, looking for the witness that can put them away. They have their boss with them, Miss Margot Kane, a wonderfully vulgar villain played to the hilt by Freda Jackson. And this is a good choice, confronting the Edwardian gentleman with a villainous woman, especially one as crass and aggressive as Margot Kane. How will he and his values, cope with that? Well, Adamant tolerates a great deal of rudeness and abuse, finally saying, Madam, what kind of creature are you? Well, as they leave, he makes a dash after them, but stumbles. He is still not fully recovered from what he's gone through. Georgie finally fills Adam in on their racket and what they've done. It appears that 1966 has a great deal of capacity for a man of my talents. I gather this Margot Kane is attempting to weaken your resolve. But Georgie tells him that she must go to the police and do right by Gramps, that's what she called the owner of the discotheque. And he likes this very much. He sees that she is a woman with courage, with character. So now he must prepare and regain his strength that he might help. And he doesn't have much time. My sword will be at your service, God willing. When Georgie leaves on her scooter, early 60s was just a lot cooler than the late 60s, in my opinion. Kane is watching and follows in her car. While she goes to the police station to make the identification, Adamant trains, and it is sort of an uphill climb for him. Finished at the station, she heads back to the club, and Kane sends one of her men to intercept her. But thankfully, Georgie spots him on the stairs. He is disguised now as the police officer he replaced, and she sneaks into the club. Now the crooks are after her. She tries to call Adam upstairs, but of course he has no idea what a phone is, so he sort of bumbles with it a bit. And one thing I appreciate in this series is that while Adamant does not adopt the morality of the future, he does adapt to the future technology to an extent. What is useful he will use. Some things he prefers the old way, and he does, of course, retain his style of dress and his sword cane. Well, he does manage, though, to sort of answer the phone and get the message. Georgie is nabbed while she's on the phone, so Adam rushes to her aid. Sadly, he is fooled by the thug disguised as a policeman, and he's clobbered by the man from behind, knocked unconscious. And here we have an event that occurs, at least in all the episodes that I was able to watch. Adam is knocked out, and this is often because he is trusting women. That's his blind spot. Just like with Louise, his blind spot is women. He can't believe that they're actually bad. Well, so he's knocked out, and when he is, he dreams of the accident in 1902 and the betrayal by Louise. Well, when he does awaken, he is tied up. He asks about Georgie, and Kane tells him that she is dead, just to shock him, and then admits that she's actually upstairs. But neither of them is long for the world, as she has arranged an accident with Georgie's gas stove, a death trap. Every good gentleman adventurer has to deal with death traps. I mean, Batman did. Well, the two are placed next to one another on a sofa while the room fills with gas. The crooks leave. They'll stand watch outside, and in an hour they'll return and untie them so it will look like an accident. But they underestimate Adamant. He gains his feet and manages to get to the gas valve, and with great difficulty turns it off. When the crooks return, they find Adam and Georgie apparently deceased. But Kane realizes the gas is off, and Adam leaps into battle, and he makes pretty quick work of the two thugs, while Kane flees out the window. Well, while he is finishing up with the thugs, Georgie chases Kane up the fire escape to the roof of the building. We wind up with a confrontation on the roof. Kane has the drop on Georgie. One little push. That's all it needs. Then I swear to you, madam, you shall follow her. Kill her, and you kill yourself. And Kane knows he's not lying. A gentleman can only stand so much. It's sort of the concept of chivalry, right? There are things in a chivalric order that men must do for women, but there are, rules women must follow as well. And a woman like Margot Kane does not follow those rules, and therefore is not covered by the code. To my certain knowledge, I have never killed a woman, but you leave me little choice. And with that, Kane pushes Georgie over the edge, but Adam catches her, pulls her up, just in time for her to warn him of the approach of Kane holding Adam's sword. In the short melee, Kane ends up going over the edge with nobody to stop her fall. And so Adam Adamant takes up where he left off, fighting evil, saving damsels, serving, now queen and country. There is much for me to do in this modern world, Miss Jones. I doubt if our paths will ever cross again. And boy, does he get that wrong. In the second episode, Adam and Georgie add a third to their little group, a carnival magician and Punch and Judy man named William E. Sims, who becomes Adam's valet, excellently played by Jack May. And what we're going to get in the series, then, are a series of his adventures in the modern world, oftentimes working for the government of England, although not always. You get the theme of old versus new, the old values that remain true. And that's something that you get in a lot of things. Especially, it's just a world that's kind of crazy, kind of chaotic. And people often say, we got some good stuff out of the change, but maybe we gave up some good stuff we shouldn't have. And the 1960s in England is probably one of those periods where people were wondering that. And this show kind of addresses that, bringing a true blue hero from the past into the future to show the way. Now, of course, he's a bit of a caricature of an Edwardian gentleman. So there is that aspect of the show. Obviously, as screwed up as 60s London was, early 1900s London had a lot of problems too. There was, of course, crime and all that other stuff. But here's the man who's going to set everything right. Georgina Jones is really, really fun. Harper does a great job with the character. Just kind of the free spirit, joyful, but always wants to get in on the adventures, even if maybe it's not safe. And Adam's always trying to keep her out of them or keep her safe. But of course, she very often does manage to help him through the problems. But it's a great dynamic between the two characters. They're both very, very likable. He's one of those kind of characters where you watch a few of these as a man, you're going, maybe I really should put on a suit. I need a walking stick. I could be so much better with a walking stick. It's that kind of a character for guys, but very, very fun show. Sadly, not a ton of episodes have managed to survive, and they're generally, have only been released on DVD in the UK, so there's the region issue. There are a few of them on YouTube that are in pretty good shape, about 7 of them. There are some others not in very good shape. They're a little more difficult to watch. You can do it, and I've seen them, but I really need to get a nice, clean DVD copy of these things, which is why I really got to get a region-free DVD player. So they're findable, but you're gonna have trouble finding them in a really, really, really nice, crisp, restored manner, but still worth watching if you like adventure shows, if you like spy shows. There's a little bit of comedy to them, some really fun, cool characters that I think you'll enjoy. Highly recommend you check out Adam Adamant Lives. I will also say, in later years, they did some radio or some taped versions of the shows, obviously with different actors, like they've done with Doctor Who. So if you're a Doctor Who fan, for sure, if you're a Doctor Who fan, check out Adam Adamant. It's sort of it's weirdly related and not related at all, but it should be related. There should be some Doctor Who Adam Adamant adventures. I think if you're a Doctor Who fan, I think you'd enjoy this one as well. So go check it out. If you've ever seen it, please let me know in the comments what you thought of it, or if you have any questions, I would answer them there for you if I can. If you enjoyed this little review of Adam Adamant Lives, please give it a like, maybe subscribe, maybe share with a friend. That would be very, very cool. But until next time, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there. Put on a 3-piece suit with a cravat, get a walking stick, and go out there and fight some evil for good old Adam Adamant. And I will see you hopefully again soon in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.